Hello gamers and welcome back to Game Warp. I'm Elwood.
I'm Kim.
And you're of course listening to Game Warp. Today we are joined by developer Jason Hein to talk about his game Spectrum Break, which is a physics-based platformer. So something a little different on the show today. But first off, welcome to the show, Jason.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
For anyone who's obviously not familiar with your game Spectrum Break, what's the game about?
So you're a little surfer dude, and your goal is just to light up everything in the level. So basically, when you play through Spectrum, you tend to reshape the entire level as you play through it because everything is dynamic. So like originally when I was making this game, I just had like a regular platformer, and I end up just applying a physics script to everything when I was bored once. And that kind of just became the game. Blocks in each level flow in zero gravity, and your goal is to just light up all the blocks.
That makes it tricky, right? Because I mean, like when everything becomes dynamic, you kind of shape your own level in a sense where you kind of create the situation that you're stuck in.
Yeah, I get this strange feeling like there's no AI in my game or anything like that. So when people play the game, if they screw up, they tend to feel like it wasn't the game at all. It's like it's them. So they'll immediately just try something else or fix it. So people tend to get warped into the game. Like they do not stop until they have fixed whatever the issue they were having with the level.
Well, it kind of takes a little bit of strategy, right, to master, like, just how to, like, you need to look at the level and where you want to do what and how this block might react to what you're doing, and it adds a new level of difficulty to it. At least that's what I found when I tried it out.
I have to say, obviously, looking at the game, this is probably one of the more colourful games that we've seen, and we mean that actually literally, because it's such a
Vibrant.
It is vibrant, certainly. I mean, it brought back memories for myself of playing like Fantavision on the PlayStation 2. Because you're having these explosions of colour on the screen, and it's such a refreshing change because you either have games which are like super bright and cartoonish, or they're really sort of dark and sort of dull sort of tones. And here we have a game which is really vibrant colour. And at the same time, as I said, you're a little surfer dude and you're lighting up the screen, and there's something simplistic yet satisfying about the game mechanics, and the use of colour in particular is just really sort of adds to this experience. And it's, as I say, it was really quite different than anything we sort of played recently at all. I mean, when you obviously started out to make Spectrum Break, I mean, has the vision sort of changed at all as you went along, or was it always to be this sort of like colourful experience?
So it actually evolved the entire time. So the reason it ended up becoming colorful was actually because I was making the game on my own at the time, and I didn't have an artist. But I do have a kind of background in like graphics programming, so I know how to like make glows and particle effects. I was like, so that's what I'm doing, I guess. I just like started on it. I actually have like really early builds up on the website too, because it started as just like white boxes. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the art style, so when I started adding particle effects and glows, they just kind of like improved over time until it just kind of like, now it's pretty. I literally just take screenshots of the gameplay. I don't have like any like crazy trailer stuff going on where I'm like drawing something that would supposedly happen in game. I literally just have videos of gameplay because it's just pretty.
So, I mean, obviously, the next question we have to ask is, how did you come up with an idea of Spectrum Break?
So, I was sitting with a laptop in front of me. I was making a regular platformer with like a couple physics blocks. I had like some ideas to like make a couple puzzles based off of zero gravity blocks, but that alone was just boring. It kind of just like didn't feel really nice. I got kind of bored of myself, and I just applied a physics script to everything in the level, and everything became a zero gravity block. And I started laughing hysterically because I broke the entire game, and that kind of became the game.
So it was like this beautiful accident that you've ended up creating. Spectrum Break is just purely by accident that you created this world that
Well,
the game now exists in.
well, I mean, the important thing is to keep trying things. By trying things, you evolve things, right? Like, after I kind of came up with that, like, the idea that you had to light up everything level just came from me spending the next couple of days thinking about what I want to do. I mean, I started out just like, you go through the entire level from left to right or something regular like that. But when I made it so you had to hit everything, that was it was interesting. Like, so many options got opened up, and my level design suddenly started getting very just like, they did not look like platforming levels. I kind of just could place blocks anywhere almost, and it would look very natural.
And with the game, I mean, does it have a story, or is it just really about playing around in this sort of zero gravity sandbox?
So there's no story to the game. You just want to light up the world, man. Just light it all.
Just light it up. So how many levels are available right now in the game? Will you be developing more?
That's not my plan right now. Right now, I'm working on some ports for the game.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 55 right now, and they start pretty small and easy, and then once you hit like level 55, people start getting intimidated. Like, oh my god, that's massive.
That's kind of a scary thought. I'm at level 11 and I had to play that a few times. So
Yeah, they grow in complexity and size, and I start adding other block types later in the game. Like, it's not just like the regular blocks that move around.
Okay. Well, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And obviously with the game, you're still obviously developing the game. I mean, is there any options that you're looking to implement for different sort of features or anything else that you're looking to sort of add to it? Or is it more just in terms of the level design that you're looking at playing around with now as you're developing the game further?
So what I'm doing right now is I'm, fixing all these like little things people come up with. Like, I'm adding PS4 controller support right now, and sometimes people like they'll lose sight of what block is left. So I'm just like increasing outlines. I'm doing all these little things. Where I kind of like, I guess you'd say I just released. I'm kind of stepping back and figuring out what I'm doing for the next like 6 months, because I got the game turned out well. I'm just like, a couple little level edits here and there. I'll probably finish up the port, and then, well, the portsa that like what I'm porting to will be announced later probably. But
Okay.
yeah, and then I'll kind of figure out what I'm doing after. I've like so many game ideas. Okay.
Okay. Is this your first one?
Yes, this is actually my first release game.
Okay.
So
Wait, you said already that it was sort of by accident that you created the game, but I mean, is there any sort of like influences that you've brought across into the game, or is it just really just been the case of, oh, this is looks cool, let's play around with this and see where it goes?
well, of course, I have drawn influence from like many other platformers, right? Like the movement of the game, you sit down, you play the other like really good platforms, like you play Super Meat Boy, you go down, you play Mario. I just like start kind of adding all these like little things, like how the player should feel. Like eventually I warped my own just sort of like feel for how the player controls. But at least at the start, I kind of wanted like to see what caused those to feel really nice. Like, it's very momentum based, which is kind of what I wanted to go with from the start.
So with Spectrum Break, are you targeting any specific audience in particular?
Honestly, I made the game and I thought it was cool as far as targeting the audience. So it starts out relatively easy and like it's colorful, it's simple starting out. So like even I've had like a lot of little kids just like go up to my booths at events and they'll almost fight their brother to get the controller in their own hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, I've also like had the odd speedrunner here just like playing through the later levels and like collecting secrets and stuff, being like, yeah, this could be a speedrun game.
It definitely could, since you do have like a little timer on the side, right? Just to kind of beat your score and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I have speedrun mode like in game, and I have a whole load of timers possible. The little pie chart at the top right is actually supposed to show your progress, as in like how many blocks are left.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think that's like a common misconception. I think that's probably a UI fault, because like pie charts are very common for clocks and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can worry about that later.
I'm frequently finding the more time that we spend looking at games in the independent scene, and certainly as we've been developing the show, and when it comes to independent games, you can never really approach it and say, oh, this is really for this particular sort of audience. You just sort of play each game as it, and it feels like a very individual experience. And that's something I've really enjoyed with the independent scene. And with this game, it was like, I felt that the experience I was having was probably different than someone else was having. The same as you mentioned earlier, with Super Meat Boy. I'm not sure what sort of person goes into Super Meat Boy. I mean, it's a very sadistic experience playing Super Meat Boy, so I always wonder what sort of person is playing that. But, I mean, do you feel now that we're at a point where the independent scene is now providing this much wider platform than before for developers to be creative and just put out the sort of games that they want without feeling any sort of restrictions that perhaps like mainstream developers may be under?
So how a lot of games get made in the indie scene is a lot of them start out with just like some game jam. If you guys don't know what a game jam is, people sit in a room together and they all try to make a game in 48 hours. People do not sleep during this time, but it's a blast, and people just tend to make experimental games. And oftentimes, some of these experimental games end up turning out really well. Like, I guess you could say when you're like exploring, you're also kind of playing. Like, my experience for making my game started out with me just like playing with the level editor, and it just ended up turning out this fun game. I think people are most creative when they're playing, or I guess in the like playing mindset. So oftentimes people have all these crazy ideas that they just want to that they just want to create. So like they aren't stuck to, they can kind of just do whatever. Like they're not stuck to the mantras that the AAA industry has. I don't think they really have been. It's more a matter of like time and effort and money for them to actually develop it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more about the enjoyment of and the sense of play that you're saying where independent developers have compared to like the AAA developers, which are obviously trying to create an experience. They're essentially trying to create like now when we look at a lot of AAA experiences, the sheer size of them and all of the moving parts to them, it feels like they're trying to create a cinematic experience that you interact with. Where I think, as you were saying, with the independent scene, it's more like the enjoyment of that sense of play that we tend to find with the independent titles, which makes them so appealing because they are so different than what we're obviously playing with the bigger titles.
Yeah, well, that's also, I think it's more like the indie scene has a lot more heart to it, right? Like everything's coming from this like spontaneous creativity that comes out, especially in game jams, I would assume, because it's like a group of people just sitting down and, you know, just getting a game out in that time. And sometimes it's just like a little experience. Like I've played a few game jam games on like Game Jolt and stuff like that. And a lot of them are pretty like, some of them are pretty profound, like deep experiences, and some of them are just, you know, pure fun, you know. So yeah, if obviously if people want to find you, where would they find the game or find information on the development and, you know?
Okay, so you can find basically almost anything on my website at spectrumbreak.com. You can also just look up Spectrum Break on Steam and you'll find a Steam page for it. So on the website, there'll be links to the Steam page, there'll be a little history description. That basically goes over what we went over today. And of course, like anything related to contacting me, etc.
Okay, that's good. We're gonna add all that stuff in the description below, obviously.
Okay.
And well, thanks so much for joining us today, Jason. It was
Okay.
great talking to you.
Okay. Thank you. It was great to be here.
This wraps up this episode. We'd like to thank Jason again for joining us. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Head over to our home base, thatmomentin.com, to read our game reviews. To get gaming news every single day, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook at Game Warp Podcast. You can see our gaming obsessions on our Instagram at Game Warp Podcast. Also, hang out with us over at Twitch, twitch.tv/Game Warp Podcast. Till next time, bye!